The Denver Broncos once again are at a huge advantage in week 3 against the Chargers because Khalil Mack is not playing. Now, for those of you that watched Monday Night Football when the Raiders took on the Chargers, Los Angeles was not able to rush 4. They worked out 2 free agents this morning because of that. Without Khalil Mack, they're very handicapped. They're relying on an undrafted player and a 4th-round rookie. The Broncos have to take advantage of this. They're going to have to go out there and push the ball down the field. Bo Nix is going to have time. The Colts were without 2 starting corners, and what did Nix do? He goes out there and he pushes the ball down the field to Troy Franklin. Courtland Sutton was the focal point of the Colts defense. They kind of took him out of the game, but we saw other guys get opportunities. Marvin Mims caught a touchdown. So I want to see Bo Nix play an unbelievable game. Basically how he played against the Colts, but without that turnover, man. The run game. Without Mack, he's also very good in the run game. The Chargers are going to be struggling to be able to get into the backfield because of that. So I'm looking at J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey to step up. Now, I thought Dobbins honestly played a very good game in week 2, 14 for 76 and a touchdown. That's all you'll take if you're the Broncos out of your starting running back. And then they get another 20 from Nix, 11 on, of course, the end around of Franklin. R.J. Harvey's been kind of quiet this season. I expect him to get going as the season progresses. But Mack is the best, well, arguably the best, probably Derwin James, but he's the second best player on their defense. Rashawn Slater's out. You have 2 stars on both sides of the ball not playing in this game. You have a chance to bounce back after a very, very disappointing week 2 game that you feel like you should have won. You were literally 60 yards away from a field goal to winning that, and then there was a leverage call. And by the way, I told you guys I thought that was BS. The Broncos, they came out and said that the Colts intentionally drew that, which kind of proves my point. So the Broncos, they were literally a play away from being 2-0, and they have a chance to bounce back and be in first place after this win. Feels like they've got to get this one. Somebody outside of Troy Franklin needs to step up. I mean, Marvin Mims did have a touchdown catch, but he had just 24 yards. The 23 of them were on 1 catch. And then I'm looking at Courtland Sutton, 1 catch for 6 yards. Now, the Colts schemed him out of the game, but still. Evan Ingram, 1 catch for 12 yards. Like, these guys need to step up. They need to. There's no question about it. I think Bo Nix is going to have to throw more than 30 times, honestly, for the Broncos to be able to win this game. I mean, if he does throw less, it means they're running the ball very, very well. But this has to be the Bo Nix game. You're going up against a Chargers defense that gave up the fewest points. That's been so good. We saw what it did against Patrick Mahomes and the Raiders. Now it's time for Bo Nix to have that game, because we said it all offseason that, hey, look, if the Broncos want to get to that next level, Bo Nix is going to have to be able to make some throws, and we'll see if he makes them in this game, because he did for the majority of the game for the Colts until he didn't. He threw it right into safety Sams and Cam Bynum. In terms of the defense going up against Los Angeles, the Chargers, they couldn't run the ball last season. They can't run the ball this season. 26 for 81 against the Raiders. They were about the same against the Chiefs. If you're wondering why the Chargers can't run the ball, it's because their interior is not good. They've got newly acquired Mekhi Becton, Bradley Bozeman, and Zion were there last season. They were not very good statistically and from the eye test. So it's very, very important, very critical for the Broncos to be able to apply pressure, very similar to the Colts. Now, the difference between the Chargers and the Colts is the Colts have an elite offensive line, which means that the Broncos were forced to blitz to apply pressure, and the Colts have the weapons to be able to beat the blitz. The Chargers have weapons, but they don't have a good offensive line, at least in the interior. Trey Pipkins has played well at right tackle. So the Broncos should be able to rush 4 and generate pressure, which means they'll have 7 guys in a coverage, which is what you want to do against Justin Herbert. You want to force him to throw into zones versus one-on-ones, because he'll hit those throws, especially if you give him time. So I like this matchup for the Broncos. A lot of people are underestimating them. I actually love this matchup for the Broncos. Like the Chargers without Mack and without Slater, you couldn't ask for a better opponent if you're Denver, because they can rush forward, drop back into coverage, make it difficult on Herbert. It's going to be tough. I think Herbert is going to struggle in this game. Daniel Jones played unbelievable, but it comes down to who's really around you, and it's going to be time for Herbert to see how good his receivers truly are against the Broncos. And it'll be interesting to see if Denver can get the Chargers into 3rd and long, because we saw the Chargers, they had to make a lot of plays against the Raiders because they couldn't produce on early downs. And they got all the way down to the goal line. I think it was, I don't know, it was 1st and 3 or something like that. And they ran it 3 times and they kicked a field goal. They end up, of course, going up 14 versus trying to make it a 3-score game. To me, that shows that the Chargers don't trust their own line because when you're inside of the 5, you don't want to throw, as we all know. The Chargers kind of have to. Like, they just can't run the ball. Amari Hampton hasn't really looked that great. Had a fumble that could have cost his team the game late in this game after the defense forced a 4-and-out. Najee Harris is still kind of getting up to speed. So if the Broncos can't win this game, I don't know if they'll be able to beat the Chargers the rest of the way. No Mac. Chargers can't run the ball. Herbert looked kind of human, if I'm being honest, in week 2. And the Broncos should follow a very similar game plan. Is just collapse the pocket, force him to step up, don't let him get out of it, and don't let him scramble. Herbert was very good in week 1 against the Chiefs at running. And then in week 2, not that he was bad necessarily, but he didn't do it as much. Herbert did have 31 yards, but you'll kind of live with that if Herbert has 31 rushing yards because nobody else is going to do anything regardless, so he's going to probably lead the team in rushing again. So I love this matchup for Denver. It's just going to come down to turnovers. Can Denver take care of the football? That interception they had with Bo Nix was crucial because it took points off the board. And then Will Lutz missed a 42-yard field goal, which took points off of the board. Defensively, the Broncos, they gave up a lot of explosive plays. But again, the Chargers don't have the best offensive line. They obviously don't have Jonathan Taylor. Daniel Jones does an amazing job of getting rid of the ball quickly on target to his guys. We'll see if the Chargers are ready for this, man. I just have a good biased feeling about the Broncos in this one. I know that they should have beaten the Colts. They didn't look great. They looked horrible, honestly, offensively in week 1. But I think this is the game they piece it together. And ESPN did a metric about how comfortable they feel from what they've seen from the Broncos. They were ranked 10th. 10th in football. So, yeah, sure. The Broncos haven't played close to their best, but ESPN still believes in them. I don't know why we wouldn't believe in them. I picked the Broncos to win this division coming into the season. I'm still picking them now. I think they win this game. They certainly will be ready for the Chargers. And if they lose, they're 1-2, having lost to the Colts and the Chargers, which is not a good look. If they win, they're 2-1, but they're in first place with the tiebreaker. So the Broncos, they got to get this one, man. I mean, last season, they were in it. They were in the games against the Chargers and the Chiefs, but it's time to go out there and to win. And it comes down to Bo Nix. I know his defense wasn't amazing against the Colts, but Bo Nix had plenty of opportunities to be able to put his team to get a win. He got him into field goal range. I'll give him that. But that interception, that can't happen again, if I'm Bo Nix. The receivers, and they also have to step up a little bit, man, because the Colts pass rush isn't even that good. So I have no idea kind of what happened, if I'm being honest with you guys.